All right. Well, it looks like we got Liquid Sheth spawning in the bottom right-hand corner as our purple Zerg versus the one, the only White-Ra from TTE Sports. He's going to be our red Protoss.
Already the mannering just started.
Smiley faces on both sides. GLGL, thanks, you too.
I would expect nothing less than that from these two players. And
so what do you expect from these two players?
I don't know, man. This is going to be kind of interesting. White-Ra's been switching things up a little bit. You know, we were casting the other day, and someone called us out and Sheth like, you didn't recognize this obscure build that White-Ra has occasionally been doing against Zerg players, where he doesn't actually wall off. He does this. He builds his structures inside of his base, or what he'll do is he'll drop first pylon here, gateway, and then structures into the bigger wall if there's an easily accessible natural choke or something like that. So
interesting. I wonder why that is.
And now I'm looking for it to appease that one guy in chat who screamed at us.
I wonder if that's actually worth it. I mean, I could definitely see that getting you into trouble in the later game where it's so necessary to just be able to warp in a single zealot and block off the top of your ramp due to Zergling run-bys and other stuff like that. Like, I just don't see the benefit.
If your opponent 7-pools you. It's the best thing you can do. But other than that, yeah, I don't know.
And look, his gateway's like already like almost right there. Like, are you really saving that much mining time by? I definitely
we'll try and honestly critique it. You know, see what are the positives of it as we move along. So,
but I could see a run by being quite problematic. You know, it forces you to warp in a sentry and hit a force field as opposed to just warping in a single zealot and block a unit worth of space.
And Sheth has been a very roach-heavy player recently, also pretty aggressive. I remember, now this is going back a little bit, but, you know, IPL 3 and also before that, and not just in the qualifiers, but when he was at the in Team Arena against Slayers, he was going for very, very aggressive drop play, almost to a fault in a couple of games, because I think he let a couple of those get away from him.
Even at MLG as well, he was doing a lot of roach openings, especially against Terran. 7-8 roach pushes early on in the game. See, now we have kind of like a pseudo wall starting. It's weird.
Yep, Cybernetics core is up at the front, but of course this is not terribly easily defendable right there.
I mean, I'm sure he'll add a building or two there later on. It's just really interesting the way he's going about it.
And back on Sheth's side of things, no real surprise yet. This has been a key of his roach opening for a while, is that he did end up going 15 pool, 15 hatch, open with a few lings, and then like double gas up into roaches or in pretty early layer tech. Could also go for a third, which it looks like he is going to do very quickly.
Yeah, it's a super fast third.
Yeah.
Just purely minerals thus far.
Well, he's not actually found his opponent yet, so he has no idea what White-Ra's doing. And, you know, White-Ra may very well offer a pretty fast expand, but it's not like he's forge fast expanding, and it does keep him susceptible to
How many early gateway are on the way to his base right now?
Let's see, just 4.
Just 4? All right.
Yeah.
See if Sheth tries to bypass this stalker and get some scouting info. He very well could. Okay, there goes one ling.
Yeah.
Gonna head into the main, figure out exactly what he's doing. He didn't see the probe over by the natural, I don't think. But
no,
he has
did
to
not
assume what's going on because there's absolutely nothing in the main.
Yeah.
He might be worried about some sort of proxy, but he is going to scout that Nexus on the way back out, so he will know exactly what's coming out of White-Ra thus far.
And White-Ra only took a little bit of damage on that Stalker. Will recover most of that before it makes its way to his opponent's base. 2 more lings out for Sheth, but he's pretty much going to have to defend behind Queens. However, yeah, looks like the Stalker going to run over to the right, and White-Ra is going to pick up on this next expansion very quickly.
White-Ra just fires a single pod shot.
Damn you!
Just letting Sheth know that he had seen the third. I like that.
Yeah.
Gonna go in there, maybe try and pick off a drone here. He actually might get one. Is he? Oh, he ends up getting surrounded. Sheth with some great micro right there. Takes out
all of his drones alive too.
Very nice.
All right, back on White-Ra's side of things, he's starting to wall in at the front. Forge coming up now. The map is Antigua Shipyard. We really haven't talked about this lately, but oh wow, okay, never mind. Turning around and putting up 3 more gateways. So it looks like he wants to put on pressure and start that pretty quick. Not going to do that with a +1 upgrade. Not going to do that with cannon defense. Just wants to, well, there's actually 2 sides to this little opening here, which is maybe a little bit of an oversight. I'm not actually sure.
Is it still open on the bottom?
Now that, yeah, I think he can get around there. I think that probe can get around the bottom of that pylon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not really sure what the reasoning behind this form of wall is. It's kind of a weird setup. It's almost as weird as the one at the top of his ramp.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see.
It's 5-gate now. 5-gate it is. Second gas up. No third or fourth gas quite yet, so maybe he just wants to hit a very early 5-gate timing and try and kill the third when Sheth isn't really going to be able to invest in tech yet. As we see the layer just coming up, and he hasn't been able to add any tech structures down or really even commit to any other sort of gases. He's going to need to get his drone count up and then just move into mass lings that play defense. There's finally our Roach Horn, though. I was waiting for that. Roach Horn and Evolution Chamber on the way.
And there we go. So he is going to start getting some upgrades and get some roaches out. No kind of aggression is going to be coming out of Sheth thus far, but White-Ra gearing up for a push here. Does he have a probe in tow with the army?
Yes, he does. Right
so
there.
He's going to be able to make some proxy pylons on his way over there. Not sure where he'll lay down the first. Maybe at the Zelnaga. There we go.
Yep.
So first pylon down for White-Ra. Second pylon probably going to be somewhere out here.
Yeah.
In between all the bases. Actually, he's going a little bit more aggressive with it. That'll give him the option to warp units in on the high ground, too. I kind of like that.
We do have 4 roaches coming up with 16 lings, but White-Ra, if he completes a couple of cycles of warp-ins, is going to have more than enough to deal with that. Oh, now 7 roaches coming up, and we'll see if those are going to do enough or going
Sheth
to do the
needs
trick.
To get that pylon, and he does.
Very nice play, as this next pylon is going to take much longer for it to actually come up. He's actually trapping reinforcements at the same time. He's willing to take a little bit of damage on this hatchery, but he does lose those drones.
Yeah, he's doing a ton of damage here. The drones at the third all go down. The hatchery could very well go down. Some nice force fields right there from White-Ra will preserve that sentry. Yes, it stays alive until a few roaches.
From the low ground there.
Wow, and there's another cycle of warped-in units from White-Ra, and this is just a very odd timing that I don't think a lot of Zerg players are really used to. It's early aggression.
It's a very snap decision by White-Ra, too. We saw the Forge go up, indicating a little bit later 6-gate +1 or something like that, but canceled it, went right into 5-gate, and is all-out aggression. He does kill the hatchery, I'm sorry. We have a macro hatch coming up as well, but I don't know if Sheth's going to have that up in time to start realizing the production. This 5-gate might just outright kill him.
Yeah, I think Sheth's in a lot of trouble here. White-Ra has a ton of units, and look how much money he's actually accumulating right now. He's up to 750 minerals right now, 200 gas, so he certainly hasn't been spending his money.
I would have thought during this attack we would have seen that Forge and then the 6-gate come up just a little bit later than normal. White-Ra going to make his way down now, force fielding off that ramp so the roaches can't really attack. There is a Zergling counterattack going down, but there's enough. Oh, never mind. They slip on through, so we'll see if Sheth can get some economic damage done.
That could be terrible for White-Ra. He really needs to defend that. He's actually being held at the natural. Sheth does get into the main. No probes really going down, though. I think he will be able to hold on here. He did lose a couple zealots, though, and he's going to lose an additional stalker here. So Sheth actually doing some considerable damage with this run by back at the natural. Wow, White-Ra's actually pulling everything back right now.
Back home. He does have the 2 pylons remaining, so we can continue to warp in some units and harass. And even that probe's still just hanging out. But Robo coming up now for White-Ra. And he's moving up to quad gas, but other than that, all quiet. He's still got to take care of those lings. How many workers have gone down? Looks like Sheth has only killed 5, actually. So not too much economic damage done.
Well, interesting. We've kind of stabilized here a little bit. If we take a look at the income tabs, I think we're... White-Ra is definitely ahead right now. 2 base to 2 base. He's well up on harvesters. He's up by 6 right now. I think he's also got the lead in tech right now with this Robo and the Forge coming down.
Supply caps, though, for a pretty good period of time.
Yeah, he just lost those 2 pylons as well, so going to be supply blocked again.
And let's take a look here. There's the Forge, so 5-gate Robo with Forge. We'll see if that becomes Blink Stalker play here in a bit, if he just uses the Robo for observers, or what he's going to do. He is moving to a 3rd base, though, so he's going to have a lot more flexibility. He'll actually have a pretty powerful economy if Sheth isn't able to punish that. Oh, but this gold is going to be punished. There's no way that remains.
Yeah. And, you know, I think what he's going to use the Robo for and the Forge, get that +1, mix a few Immortals into this army, and then he really has a force to be reckoned with. He could almost certainly just straight up end the game. And White-Ra's wall here, I think, needs a little bit of work. We said that we were going to let it be tested this game, and I think that the Zergling run-by certainly proved that the wall is not that effective. You might as well wall at both positions, and you might as well do it right.
Oh, God, White-Ra doesn't cancel. So that's actually a pretty big loss. He's going to lose another pylon here as well. Supply capping him once again. Oh, but White-Ra has done a nice job by burying a couple of pylons down here to the bottom right. However, there's enough roaches that shouldn't pose too much of a threat. All of a sudden, though, I think Sheth has gotten himself right back into this. He's running up with those lings once again, doing damage to the warp gates. He's got missile attacks level 1 coming out. He's got a ton of roaches on the ground. His economy is going to be pretty darn good on 3 base now.
But Sheth is leaving with half of his army. Oh, he's actually going for the surround here. I think he knows what's coming. White-Ra should drop some force fields behind himself. He needs to be really careful here. If he doesn't drop force fields from behind, he could get in a lot of trouble. There we go. The force fields in the back are going to keep him absolutely safe. And then he has those zealots that from the pylons that he warped in originally, but that's a lot of roaches from Sheth.
Really is.
I don't know if White-Ra has enough here.
He's an all-out unit production, and now +1 attacks hits, and that gives him an even better advantage. Those
God, White-Ra's going to lose everything here.
Wow.
Oh, man.
So Sheth has completely turned this around. He actually busted down that gate at the front of the wall as well. These stalkers are in full retreat, but now these roaches have speed and they are faster, so they will catch up and start dealing damage the whole way back. And all of a sudden, Sheth actually has twice the supply of his opponent.
That was so smart of Sheth to send those units around the back there. I mean, he didn't know clearly what White-Ra was up to either. I mean, he didn't have any concrete scouting info on that. He did see the pylons and the zealots, and he chose not to deal with them specifically, which is kind of interesting. You know, I think he might have been kind of baiting White-Ra into attacking right there. He certainly had enough roaches to just end the game, and I still think he does. White-Ra with 2 immortals out now, but those are going to get dropped immediately. As are the rest of these forces.
Pick off a few kills, but now we just have a handful of zealots, and there's a good game well played, and Sheth has taken game number 1.